Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to another edition of Carnage Reviews. Today I will be looking at Baby Blood.
Au début du monde, la Terre était un astre tout juste refroidi, couvert de gargouilles immondes. Toutes ces formes de vie se mirent à se reproduire, toutes, sauf une. Moi à qui il ne manquait qu'une chose, la naissance.
Released in 1990, Baby Blood is a French horror film directed by Alain Robach. And this is where I would usually say the names of the actors who starred in the film, but I really don't want to butcher these names, so I'm just going to display them on the screen for you to view and enjoy. So take a look at the screen right here. There's the names. Enjoy. So, when I was in, I want to say, maybe sixth or seventh grade, I think it may have been sixth grade, I was at a friend's house. We rented a horror film at our local mom and pop store that was a convenience store, but they also had a little section of films that you could rent. And we picked Evil Ed, which that's a great film, and that'll be a video for another time. But anyways, we rented Evil Ed, and I remember at the beginning of the movie, there was a preview. It was like an info commercial, but it was like for something called the Horror Shop. And it had this guy that was like dressed up as a doctor, and he was like doing an autopsy on this guy that was laying on a table, and he was pulling like organs and stuff out of the guy's body and talking about horror films and all this stuff. And they were selling some kind of T-shirt, I think, or something like that. But anyways, they brought up that movie, Baby Blood, which was known at the time as The Evil Within. That was the title that the film was given when it was released here in the U.S. And I remember hearing about this film, and they talked about how it was about a parasite that invaded a woman's uterus, and now she has a baby that is craving blood and all this stuff. And I remember just thinking, at the time, I must have been either 12 or 13. My mind was just running wild as far as what that movie was like. Because this was back, before the internet. I think the internet was, yeah, the internet was around, but it wasn't really something we were using a lot, and there wasn't like it is now, where you can pretty much find anything on the internet today that you could think of. In fact, the commercial I'm talking about, I actually found on YouTube, which I'll put a link in the description for that, so you guys can check it out, because it's really, talk about a nostalgia, this mind blow there. Just watching that commercial was amazing. So it wasn't until several years later that I actually got to watch Baby Blood, the first time, anyways. So I was at a horror convention, and I was looking around, the convention, seeing what was there. I came across a table that was selling DVDs and Blu-rays. Maybe it was just DVDs at the time. I can't remember, honestly. But anyways, I was looking at movies, and Baby Blood was right there, just looking up at me. And I bought it, I watched it, and I was impressed. But I remember I liked it, but I watched it once, and then that was it. I never watched it again for some reason. But after reviewing some of the movies I have been, I've been mainly focusing on slasher films. I wanted to do something a little different. So that's why I was thinking about Baby Blood, and I was like, you know what? Let's review this movie. Baby Blood tells the sensitive tale of a strange parasitic creature who appears to have existed since the creation of Earth. All this creature longs for is to be born and live in the sea. A circus performer named Yanka, who is in an abusive relationship, comes into contact with the creature after it literally explodes out of a jaguar that was captured in Africa. The creature begins to talk to Yanka while inside her womb, demanding she kill for it and feed it blood. Yanka escapes from the circus, and the real fun then begins. So I guess when talking about Baby Blood, I guess the closest film that I could compare it to is, I guess, Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, or also known as Brain Dead. Not necessarily because the movies are the same. They're not really the same at all. But to me anyways, the tone is very similar to these movies, and also the way they look too. Maybe because they were both made in 1990, perhaps maybe, but they have a very similar look to them. Maybe that's just me, but to me anyways, it seems like they do. The tone is very similar. Like they're both kind of black comedies. So it's funny. Rewatching this movie for the first time in years. Like I want to say, man, it's gotta when I originally bought Baby Blood. I want to say I watched it and then, man, I think it's been like maybe 7 years or more since I've actually seen this movie. So it was like watching it again for the first time. And I gotta say, it's funny. I have a new appreciation for the film. It's funny because the monster in the film, the parasite, whatever you want to call it, it's not even really the villain in the movie. It's kind of just there. But I mean, it is the main part of the story, of course. But really, in this movie, men are the villains, not the monster. Men are the monsters. The character Yanka, she's going through like her life, and she's dealing with all this BS from men. Basically, she has the boyfriend from the circus that beats the hell out of her, and from what I understand, rapes her too. At least they kind of alluded to that a little bit. And then there's these other guys that she just comes across that just treat her like crap, or they just see her as a sex object. So it's funny how a monster movie, it's not there. The main monster is not actually really the villain. Kind of like Nightbreed in a way. Very similar where the monsters in Nightbreed, they're monsters, but they're not really the main villains. Humans are. And it's interesting too, seeing the main character Yanka, seeing her progression in the story. She's kind of starts out as this. I don't really want to say timid because I don't think she's really timid, but she's very. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe naive. I wouldn't say innocent, but she does have a little bit of naiveness to her at the beginning of the film. And what's funny is that her progression from that character to what she eventually becomes in the movie is it's night and day. So basically, this monster or this creature that's inside of her is forcing her to kill men for their blood, so the baby can or the thing can be born. It's trying to gain some energy, and the only thing that it can get energy from is human blood. Apparently, she starts out kind of reluctant to do this because who would it be? Who would it be reluctant to kill somebody and drink their blood? Maybe that's just me, but I would be kind of reluctant to do that myself. So, anyways, so she's doing this, and the more she does it, the more you feel like maybe she starts to enjoy it. The scene when, and this is a spoiler alert here, just to let you know. So she kills her boyfriend from the circus, and what's funny is that she's hesitant at first, but the monster keeps saying, stab him in the throat, tear his eyeballs out, all this stuff. And when she does it, she just goes crazy, and like this, she gets drenched in blood. She's naked. This blood is going everywhere, and she lets out like this like primal scream. So it's almost like it seems like maybe she's enjoying it because in a way, she's getting revenge on men, all the men that have wronged her. And what's more interesting too, or just as equally as interesting, I should say, is that the relationship between this parasite or this monster and her really develops. Like they become almost like friendly. And you can tell that she starts to actually care about this thing, this monster inside her. Maybe not so much as care, but she maybe tolerates it. But it definitely seems like maybe they're developing this based on the movie. When the more you get into it and they talk to each other, they have conversations with each other. The parasite is an intelligent creature and asks her questions about humans and how she reacts to things. And it's just interesting how they communicate with each other, and they definitely do grow a friendship. So Baby Blood was a low budget film, but man, the blood and gore effects look great in this film. They're just it's just crazy. Like it starts out slow, but once it gets going, man, it just piles right on. I tell you, it's great. And I wouldn't say it's like over the top gory like maybe Dead Alive is, but it's definitely got some gory, blood soaking moments. And if you're a fan of gore, I would say you won't be disappointed by this film at all. One of my favorite scenes, and just to warn you, there are some minor spoilers here, but one of my favorite scenes is when Yanka has a dream sequence where she's giving birth to this parasite, and you see her stomach's just just getting bigger, and these like big red arms just emerge from the side of her stomach, and it just looks so cool. There's like a nice wide shot of it, and it just looks incredible. I don't want to say too much more about the gore effects in the film because I don't really want to ruin it for people. Because I think with these films, it's best to see them naked, and by naked I mean not really knowing what to expect, because that is when you can get the best reaction, I think, from them. Like when you just see a crazy ass score effect in a film and you're not expecting it, it just can blow your mind. So I'm actually really glad that when I first heard about this film when I was a kid, I'm glad I never sought it out, because if I did, I probably would have ended up with the version, the American version, which was called The Evil Within. And from what I understand, the American version was just as typical. It was cut to hell. A lot of the gore was removed. In fact, scenes were even rearranged for some reason. I don't even know why. I don't know why they would do that. Yeah, I guess it was just a much weaker film than the original French version. So I'm glad that I waited and was able to see the film the way it was meant to be seen. So as far as a rating goes, I gotta say I gotta give Baby Blood a solid 5 out of 5 skulls. I mean, it's a fun movie. Um, it's short. It's not super long. It kind of starts out slow, I would say, at the beginning, but then once it picks up, it just is it just keeps going nonstop. So I definitely recommend it if you're a fan of practical effects, if you're a fan of gore, if you're a big gore hound. I highly recommend you check it out. If you like films like Dead Alive, Evil Dead, stuff like that, I think you would definitely like this movie. So yeah, I think it's a great French horror film, and I highly recommend it. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of Baby Blood, and also let me know what some of your other favorite French horror films are. I know there are quite a bit out there, and there are some great ones. Please like this video, and subscribe to the channel as well too, so you can stay up to date on all the new content that I will have coming out. With that said, guys, have a good day and stay scary. Bye-bye, guys. Okay, I'm going to stop doing this. This is weird.